My name is Zach Pendleton. Let's get started. There's my name. Okay. Things about me. I'm a software engineer for Instructure, and I am a pretty average engineer. I have a degree in English literature from Utah State and a JD from BYU. So, yeah, really traditional path for me. I have, and that's why it's doctor on my badge. It's the best thing the JD has ever done for me. So I've been with Instructure for about 9 months now. Before then, I was an engineer, worked for lots of different companies, did work for Capital One, for Visa, for Corona. Though, as nice as those may sound, the most impressive work I had done is for Dog the Bounty Hunter. I was responsible at one point for building and maintaining his web store, which was great. It's a fantastic client and kind of a fun guy. I apologize. I also did a site once for Kat Osterman, who not Dog the Bounty Hunter, right? She's U.S. women's Olympic softball pitcher. And there's like a cat and dogs joke somewhere there. I just couldn't come up with it in time. So. Now, I will say working at Instructure has been a bit of a shift because the first time since the 4th grade that I have been around another Zach, right? We have Zach Wiley, VP of Engineering. And so Instructure has given us lots of nicknames, right? Both of us are. Apparently, I am Hipster Zach, Cool Zach, which I don't know about, but if the shoe fits, I'll take it. And I'm also the Zach with glasses, which is great because we both have glasses, right? But Zach played a game in his presentation yesterday where he would put up a nickname and ask the audience to guess which Zach it belonged to. So I'm going to do a little bit of that right now. I'll put up the nickname. You can just say, right, me or him. Okay? So first nickname is Smart Zach. Guesses? Totally him, right? Oh, whoops. Okay, yep, Zach Wiley, right there. He's super, super smart. When you have a Canvas problem, do not come to me. Go to him. All right, the Zach with hair. Definitely him. Yeah, you guys saw that, right? I got a sunburn on my head eating lunch yesterday. How embarrassing is that? Okay, the next one, it's a little trickier. Zach with the pants. Okay, surprise, that one's me, actually, right? Yeah, love running in those things. Okay. Wear them to conferences sometimes. Next one. This one's a little tougher. The Zach with so much knowledge about pandas that it'd be kind of creepy if it wasn't so glorious. All right? That one's definitely Zach Wiley. Okay. And then just one last one. The magical Zach who owns a white tiger. Trick question. Not a Zach. Actually a Siegfried or a Roy. Okay. So with that, let's, hopefully you know us both a little better now and you see us in the hall, you can distinguish between the two of us. We're going to get started today talking just about the basics of the API. Can I get, just by show of hands, how many people here would consider themselves like developers or kind of technical with code a little bit? Fair amount. Okay. The rest of you, I'm guessing, probably not so much. Okay. Of those of you who are developers, how many of you have done anything with the API so far? Show of hands. Fair amount as well. Okay. For those of you who have done things with the API, some of this may be not super new to you or exciting. For that, I apologize. Hopefully the jokes will keep you here. So once we talk about the basics of the API, we'll talk a little bit about how to authenticate against it, use tokens, and then we've got a few examples to demonstrate how that works. So what is an API good for? The answer to that question is actually quite a bit. If you've used the Canvas API in the past, you will have noticed over the past 6 months or so, it's grown quite a bit. All right, now you can use the API to access information about your accounts, your assignments, courses, enrollments, service configuration, your users. All right, when we say access information, I generally mean you're able to look at records, create records, update, and delete records. Okay. And Instructure is not the only company that's moving towards improving the quality of our APIs. The United States government has also done that. Just last month, the White House issued an executive order requiring all branches of the federal government within 90 days to have a plan in place to expose all of their public-facing data via an API. All right, because the government I mean, I can't say that Instructure started the country down this path, but I can't say we didn't. All right? Because, and the advantage and why, and I'm sorry, I don't want to plug Instructure too hard, but the great thing about a company like Instructure that provides you with an API to access your data is that they recognize and we appreciate that it's your data, right? And you should be able to get at and manipulate and use that in whatever way you want. Put in other terms, any way you want it, that's the way you need it, any way you want it, all right? It's what that song was about. Yeah. And you can see here, if you look, that's actually other Zach right there, right? Okay. So, let's move on here. All right, so the first thing about the Canvas API, it's based on REST, all right? REST is a great web architecture, right? It's an idea about how to structure web applications. If anybody's used like SOAP or RPC in the past, right, just come here and I'll give you a big hug and tell you it's going to be okay, all right? Because REST is so much simpler than SOAP and RPC because those services are built on top of HTTP too, right? But there's lots of just abstraction and nastiness in XML, all right? And REST does away with that. It's just HTTP, right? And it is concerned with the consumption and the exposure of objects, right, in the system. So the thing you'll notice about REST as we go through this, again, maybe it's the English major in me coming out, but I love that it's very simple. Every REST call has a noun and a verb, all right? And so when you're structuring your REST calls, you can think about them in that way, and it's easy to use and to reason about, right? If you tell me what you want to do, and you tell me what the object is you want to do it to, I can tell you generally what the route is, right? There's probably a joke in that just sentence there. I'm not going to go there. Okay. So here's some examples, right, of what REST calls look like. We've got here, let's say we want to manipulate a course inside of Canvas. And I apologize, right? I didn't annotate this reference, but clearly it's from They Shoot Horses, Don't They? The Jane Fonda movie from the 70s. Okay. Really important that you know that. So if I'm creating a resource, right, the HTTP verb is going to be a post, right? And you can see here the Canvas path. I just feed it, because a course belongs to an account, I've got to include the account there, just courses, all right? And I post the information to the course there, and Canvas gives me back a new course. If I want to then return that course later, right, what do? The verb is going to be a get. And you'll notice the path is really similar here, right? Here I don't have to include the accounts piece because now I have a specific ID for the course that I can use. But again, I have the noun, which is a course with an ID of 1, and then I have the verb, which is a get. Right? Same thing with update and deleting courses as well. Now notice on this update URL, I changed up the ID a little bit just to show that in Canvas, you can use the unique identifier inside of Canvas to reference a resource, or you can use its SIS ID. Right? So whether it's a course or a user, you just prepend that SIS identifier with SIS underscore course in this case, underscore ID, right? Could be SIS user ID, and that way you don't have to keep track of Canvas IDs in your own system if you already have that SIS information. All right, so now how does Canvas get you that data? This slide's a winner, right? Okay, can I tell you a just really great joke? My wife, when this song came out and we were growing up, she thought the song was Don't Go, Jason Waterfalls, right? So she was like, I don't know who Jason Waterfalls is, but I don't want him to go. Okay, so she's so awesome. She's now an entertainment lawyer, so that shaped her right there. She represents bands. Okay. So JavaScript object notation is the format that Canvas returns data to you in. Great things about JavaScript object notation, or JSON or JSON, is that it's a lightweight format. It's really easy to parse and use if you're writing a program, but it's also really easy to debug as a person. It's very human readable. Okay, and one new thing about the API that just happened within, I'd say, the past month or two, is that now, instead of just getting JSON back from Canvas, you can now, when you're creating records, post JSON to Canvas instead of sending regular form data. And the advantage to that is when you're writing an application is now your application only has to speak one language. Right? Speaks JSON and doesn't need to do two separate things for putting and getting. So let's take a look at JSON. Let's say I wanted to create a user inside of Canvas. You'll see up top here, I'm just going to make a curl request to Canvas. Again, here's my URL to create the user. Because I'm creating, my verb is going to be a post. Okay, I set up my authorization token here. And all I have to do to use JSON is just set and tell Canvas that my content type, is going to be JSON. And if I was posting this user.json form, let's imagine that's what this looks like. Right? So you can see here, hopefully those of you who are not particularly technical can take a look at this and within just a few minutes understand exactly what that's representing. I have a user who has a name, a short name, and then has a pseudonym, which is the login information. Right? We've got a login ID, an SIS ID, and a password. Okay. Any Bieber fans in the house? Represent. Thank you. Yeah, this guy knows what I'm talking about. Okay. Look at that. All right. Today, you're the Zach with the hair. Okay. So if I post that request to Canvas, this is what Canvas is going to return to me. Right? And again, you'll see it's JSON. See, I just have now all of the fields that I sent, right? Because it's what I wanted to create my user with. But I have the addition here of their Canvas ID. So if I did want to use that in my application, I now have it and can use that to reference the user later, as well as by using their SIS ID. Now, pagination in the Canvas API, we do paginate all of our results. Because we love you, but we hate it when you melt the servers. So pagination is controlled through a header. It's got the name of link, right? So the link header, you'll see it looks like this. Format, it's probably not really exciting to look at. Things to note is you control the page with a parameter called page, and you can determine how many results are returned per page with a per page parameter. We do cap that at 50, so if you think you're going to be like all sneaky and set that to like 1,000 or something, good luck. You'd be really disappointed when you get 50 results back. Just as an example, this is probably, I'm going to put this up on GitHub here in the next day or two, just to show you how easy it is to use those link headers. Here's some Ruby code. I can just take the request header, split it up, run some regexes, and then I have this really great map of links that I could drop into my app. Right? So just a hash map, next, previous, first, and last links. So it's really easy. You don't even have to write that code. You can just copy mine, paste it in your app, and it works. Tell your boss it can take you like a week. Okay. I've never done that, other Zach, ever. Okay. Yeah. All right. So those are the basics of the Canvas API. Let's talk a little bit now about how to authenticate against it. Canvas uses OAuth for its authentication in the API. A great thing about OAuth is like the other standards we've talked about, it's open, it's easy to understand. If you are using a single sign-on solution like CAS or SAML or Shibboleth, it's really easy to integrate with that. And you can see OAuth is pretty popular. It is used by some of the biggest names on the internet. Yeah. See, that joke didn't get any play when I did the dry run of this at Instructure, so I'm glad you guys like that. Okay. They were just like, really? Dalai Lama's got a website? Okay. So OAuth works with tokens, right? So every user has, or you can create for that user a unique authentication token. And the token is essentially like a username and password. Right? And the easiest way to get started with the API is to create your own token inside of the apps. All right? So let's show you how to do this. If we were to make like a carpenter and build our own, we can click through into Canvas. And while that loads, I will apologize in advance. I am running Canvas on my laptop, not doing all of the caching and things that I should be, so it may be a little slow today. That is not an implication of Canvas, and that is instead my fault, not being a great ops guy. So here is my profile page inside of Canvas. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, see there's this approved integration section, okay, and you can see I've already got some token out there. All I have to do is click on New Access Token. I can give it a purpose. Right, whatever that may be. Let's say demo. And I don't want this to expire because I'm going to be using it for some testing. So let's click generate. And there is my token, right? Now, it's going to tell you in small print to copy that token because once you close that window, you can't get it again. And that's true. You got to regenerate the token, right? So copy that, and then you can start making requests against Canvas as yourself with this token. It's a really easy way to get started with the API. But for most solutions, it's kind of a hassle to ask all of your users to log into Canvas, give them instructions to scroll down, generate the token, copy it, email it to me, right? And we'll hook you up, bro. Like, users don't do that. So OAuth has a workflow that can be used to help users generate tokens on their own inside of the browser. Right? And if you've ever used a Facebook account or a Twitter account to log into another website, right, the process is going to be very similar because that's an OAuth workflow as well. To do this inside of Canvas, it does require a developer key. If you're an open source customer, we've got instructions in our API documentation about how to generate that developer key. If you are an Canvas Cloud customer, you'll need to contact somebody at Canvas, right? If you get account rep or somebody, you just like compliment other Zach on his hair, right? And we can get you set up with a token, okay? So you can create these. So let's take just a quick walk through that workflow. It begins, your app is going to redirect the user to Canvas, and you are going to pass your client ID from that unique developer key, a static response type, just the word code, and then the URL that you'd like Canvas to redirect the user to once they've authenticated, right? And that happens in the browser. So your user would click a login link or an authorized link in your app. That's going to send them over to Canvas, going to ask them to log in. And when they log into Canvas and say, yes, this app can use my information, they're going to get redirected back to your app. So seamless to the user, just looks like a page refresh. And Canvas is going to give your app a unique code. And then your app, this is the only piece that doesn't happen directly in the browser, then queries Canvas with that code, right, along with your client secret and ID again. And Canvas is going to return to you the access token for that user, just as a JSON object. Okay, so let's just quickly summarize how that looks, because I know you throw a lot of slides up there. It looks super complicated. It's actually not, right? Your user clicks a link in your app that redirects them to Canvas. They log in. Canvas redirects them back, and then your app just sends a code and receives a token. Right? So it basically just looks like 2 page refreshes for the user. Pretty easy to do. So let's look at an example really quick of what happens when you use OAuth. Okay, let's say this is your app, and this is your authorize button, right? So we're going to click on that button, and actually I need to, let's just see what happens. No. I'm going to log out of Canvas really quick so you guys get like the full experience. All right. Okay, so I'm in my client app. Oh, you're kidding me. Oh, I'm sorry, I changed some stuff in my database and didn't set up a developer key again. Okay, it works so well. If I could get if one of you would like to be Canvas, one of you would like to be the app, and a third person wants to be OAuth, we can just do like a play. Okay. Sorry about that. I will be here all afternoon, so you can come see me. I will show you how that works. It's really easy. Yeah, should have tested that one. All right. So anyway, once that process goes through successfully, right, you're given an access token for the user. Now that token is great because that's equivalent to the user's username and password. So with that, you can make requests inside of Canvas as if you were that user, right? You can list their courses. You can enroll them in open enrollment courses. Anything the API allows that user to do, you can now do. But with great power comes great responsibility, right? So there are a few things you should do. Once you have that token, you should cache it, number one, because every time you go through that OAuth workflow, it generates a new token. It's inconvenient for your users, and it's super confusing when they go to their profile page and there are like 10,000 access tokens listed there, right? And they go, what is happening? So yeah, cache that token once you have it, and cache it securely because it's like a password. All right, and again, yeah, with that, you can act as the user in Canvas. Super exciting. Okay, so let's look at some examples really quickly of what we can do in the API. First, Canvas for iOS. Any like mobile users in here right now? Yeah, got some people. All right. When we needed a mobile app, we didn't do anything crazy. We just used our API. right? And so it's got to be kind of empowering, right? Like a boss. You want your own mobile app? You can go build it, right? The way that we did. Really exciting. So when it comes to using the API, really the question is, what do you want to do, right? Do you want some type of outside of Canvas catalog management? Do you want an easier way to register users in Canvas? You've got an LTI app you want to add functionality to. You can use the API to do that. We talked about analytics yesterday. The new analytics API is great, right? If you get into analytics, you think, man, this is pretty good, but it would be so much better if it had just some certain graph. You can build your own graph inside of or outside of Canvas now using the API. So let's take a look now at an example app that I built. All right, this is B+ Online, right? Some of you have taken some of those like Stanford courses or Coursera.com or thing. They're great courses, super hard for people who have degrees in English, like most things in life. So I thought it would be great if there was a site that catered to me, so I thought I would build one here, right? So essentially this is a front end to Canvas. Let's imagine you want to offer free classes through your university, right? Like a lot of universities are starting to do. You'd like to use Canvas because you've already got it. It gets a little tricky because you want people who don't have accounts to be able to create accounts and browse classes and enroll themselves. Well, you can do that now through the API, right? So here's our app. Pretty simple. We've got some pretty popular students. All right, my favorite one here is Kim Kardashian, right? She's busy, but B+ Online 72 perfect for her schedule. Okay. So just to show you very quickly what could happen here, if I, let's say I want people to be able to create courses, I can do that from here, right? Let's create a course. Again, I'm inside of my app, right? And we'll just... All right. How many of you know the first 6 words of the Lorem Ipsum? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. That concludes my presentation. So I'm going to click Create a Course here now. All right, and that just churns away for a little bit. It's going to redirect me, and that course is now created inside of Canvas that easily, right? I didn't have to go into Canvas. The great thing here is if I wanted, say, to allow my instructors to create courses, but what if I want them all to be open enrollment, right? I don't want the user to have to worry about that inside of Canvas. I may only want to expose a few options about how the course is created. I can do that now inside of my app. So let's take a look now. See if we go to log in. Okay, see there's username and password here, or I can create an account. All right, I've already got a user set up, so I'm not going to create an account, but know that if I do that, it creates the user in Canvas, sets up their access token, and then I cache it on my side. Okay, so let's log in really quick. All right, here we've got a user. Let's take a look now. This user is already registered for a course. If I click on My Courses, and again, I apologize right now. What I am doing here is caching all these views. So the second time the user loads, it's going to be really fast, but first time it's a little slow. Okay. So here we have Don Draper. You can see he's enrolled in one course. He's taking American Wilderness Writing as a student. And from this page, he can launch the course, right? It opens him right up into Canvas. And that was a little clunky in my app because I don't have single sign-on set up inside of my app, right? But if you're using single sign-on, then fantastic, because users are already logged in. So let's take a look now. Let's browse the available courses. Say Don he's started American Wilderness Writing, but realized maybe that he needs a little background, right? So we can see here now the current courses that are offered. I've got a few courses set up there, and you can see there's the demo course we just created, right? It's being pulled in from Canvas. It's really exciting. So let's click Intro to Literary Theory, one of my favorite classes. All right, we have one of literature's giants there. Yeah, a little Oz. Okay. We get Intro to Literary Theory. We get a little course description here. The longer syllabus, we get a list of assignments, right? Let's say, formalism versus modernism. I wonder what that is. Snap. All right. You now see how many points are possible, when it's due, and a short description of that assignment, right? And all that's pulling in from Canvas as the user loads the page. So none of this information needs to live in my app. I just get to build on top of that great database that's inside of Canvas. Now to give you an idea, if I want to see what on this page, you see, you can get recent discussions here that have been going on in the course. Okay, there we go. Everything that I've highlighted in red is pulled in from Canvas. All right, so you can see almost that whole page is loaded in from things that already exist in Canvas. If I wanted to, right, I need to add a picture, I can do that on my side, right? Keep track of that. So let's say this class looks great now. I'm Don Draper. Let's enroll. We wait now a little bit for Canvas. And there we go. I've been enrolled now. You can see I've got the second class there now as well as my first one. And on this page again, right, even enrolled as, I get a list of the users' enrollments, and I can tell them if they're enrolled as a student or a teacher. I'm going to click Launch the Course. It's going to ask me to log into Canvas because I don't have single sign-on. But because I created my user, that app is already exists in Canvas. I set his password, so it's the same. There we go. I'm logged in now. Here's my course, right? I can take that class. I could add some custom JavaScript or something, a link up here to just drop me back into the parent app if I wanted that. It becomes a seamless experience between the two, right? So the API, pretty awesome, huh? All right. Let's see. It is 2:07. I don't know when I'm supposed to end. It's half an hour, so yeah. Okay, 2:10. So that's it. Here's the API documentation, my email address. You can get me on Twitter. I really don't tweet about Canvas, though, so watch out. And there's my GitHub account. If you're a developer and would like to see some of the code in this app, I'm going to put a few things up on GitHub here in the next day or two. Do we have any time, just like a question or two? And then afterwards, you can come talk to me if you've got other questions, and I'll be actually across the hall starting at 4 in the Canvas Instructures Lounge. So come by and talk. Thank you.